Zoe, and I am your metaphysical and supernatural interviewer, and we have the Spiritualist Shack today, Edward and Tanya. So let's get started. Hi! Hi, you guys. How are you doing today?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear all your stories here because we did speak briefly. I didn't really need to speak to them very much because they're right with what I believe in, everything that I'm about. So I was like, let's just free for all it. I don't need to know really anything because I can tell right now that these two are really awesome. So listen in. So tell us a little bit about you and about the Spiritualist Shack.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Tanya. We are both from the Caribbean and we share like similar interests with what we practice. So we had like a group with a couple of friends, and we would talk about our beliefs and stuff. And me and Edward, we always connected on the same thing. We were like, we should make a channel and we should make a Instagram and other social media platforms to give people some information and connect with people. So we started our channel, I think this summer. It was this summer, and yeah, it's been history ever since. We're here now.
I'm Edward. We met at school. We had a big friend group, but we were just school friends. We didn't think like it would be like we would talk after we graduated. Like we're friends at school and that's it. But we literally connected so much, and we both found out that we had the same common interest. We just came together and just from there.
Well, that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the Spiritual Shack and about what we're going to discuss today, or you're going to speak to me about today.
The Spiritualist Shack is basically, it's our platform to give advice to people who need it, or information, or to read people's stories and talk to them and connect if we have like the same common interest. We made it to relate to people because it's not common for people to have the same interest as where we live. So we were like, if we can reach out to people and talk to people about stuff and spread information, then that would be good.
The paranormal, I feel like I've, since a very young age, I've been always into paranormal stuff. And it was just a big part of my life, but it was always taboo to talk about it, especially where we are now in our community. It's very taboo to talk about it. And a lot of people have experienced stuff, and they have stories and experiences that they're, afraid to talk about. So we're like, hey, this is our platform. You can send us your stories. You can be anonymous, and, we'll share your stories with our viewers so other people can know you're not the only one that's going through this, and you don't have to be afraid to talk about your experiences.
Well,
she said, ever since I was little, I've always been into the paranormal. Like, my grandmother is into it, and I had a lot of more paranormal experiences when I was younger, but she was just like, okay, this is you. You're into it. You're in love with it. I was even named after Ed Warren. That's how much my grandmother was in love.
Oh, now I love Ed Warren. So why don't you tell us who Ed Warren is?
Ed Warren is a light worker who helped a lot of people with their paranormal cases with his wife Lorraine, who had the gift that me and my grandmother.
Well, they're like my mentors. I look to them as like my mentors because they were the first ones, not the first ones out there, but they did it when it was really, really taboo to do this. And everything that they went to colleges, they gave workshops on all of the paranormal experiences that they had, and they also went in and helped a lot of people with the supernatural or the paranormal, including exorcism that they did.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah. So tell us about your experiences with the supernatural or paranormal, or how you got first started.
Well, I don't remember this per se, but my grandmother and my mom loved this story. I was younger, around 4 or 5 years old, and I had an imaginary friend. And I would go everywhere with her. I would talk with her. I would eat with her. I would cry if she wasn't there. My mom was like, this is more than is mine. So one day I was crying because she did something mean. And I guess something like big happened. My grandmother said like the activity got intense. So she knew that I had some type of connection with the paranormal from a young age, like sensitive.
So when you're talking about activity, like, okay, so you had this imaginary friend and then she got mad, is that what you're saying? And then, so what kind of activity? You're talking about paranormal activity, like something happened with the lights, or what happened?
So my grandmother, when I would always throw this fit, she said like the chandeliers would probably shake a little, or some doors would go like that, or a candle would blow out whenever I like had a hissy fit with my friend. And she was like, that's how she knew I had a sensitivity with the paranormal.
Okay.
At first she was blowing it off until she seen like shaking or rattling every time I would cry.
So, okay, so how old were you when this happened?
5.
4 or 5 years old.
Wow, do you remember the experience, or this is just what your grandma told you?
I remember bits and pieces of it. I remember having a friend that had the same name. And I was like, I remember, but I don't remember her being fake. I don't remember her being, I thought it was a girl who lived next door. I don't remember her. I was like, that was a real person. And my grandma was like, no, it's not.
Wow.
That's what I remember.
Wow. So, yeah, so that is creepy. I mean, it's not creepy, actually. I mean, a lot of kids have imaginary friends, and sometimes, you know, I wonder a little bit about that, because, of course, they can see into a different realm than what we can see, because they haven't been indoctrinated into society yet, and the beliefs of society, which is, I think, a bunch of crap. Why people just don't want to talk about this stuff. So what other experiences? How about you, Tanya?
Well, currently I'm dealing with a situation right now that I was talking to Edward previously about. I've been having this problem over the past couple of months with just my room and my household as a whole. I'm a very organized person. Before I tell you what happened, I'm very organized, and I like keep myself organized, and I know where everything is.
Capricorn.
And when I tell you, I feel like I'm going so crazy because stuff just keeps disappearing, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm just, tired and exhausted from college, but when I tell you, like, stuff keeps disappearing, and I feel like I'm being, like, watched, and I'm not scared of, like, a presence being with me, but it's a little uneasy when you don't know what is in your surroundings. So I've just been dealing with it, and I've been talking to like friends and how to like solve the problem, what's going on. But yeah, I've just been having stuff disappear. I've been hearing stuff, and I just feel like it's someone here, just like in.
So, okay, so you're going through these experiences. Did you just recently move, or did all of a sudden it just start happening?
I didn't recently move, but the only thing I can say is I recently went to a metaphysical shop, and I got some new stuff from the shop. I think I went with was it 2 months? I'm not sure. It was a couple of months ago, and I got some new stuff from there, but I got rid of them. The only thing that I have left from the shop was a keychain. I got rid of them because I didn't know if I was like bringing back energy here or something. But those are the only new things that I got in my shop.
I remember when we just left school in May, so we started hanging out at her house. And I think when we were doing like the effects for the video in there, that's when it like really first started. Because I remember we put something down, like we were putting things down, and we like, okay, it's here. And then it would move.
Yeah, and I told you, I was like, this has been happening for a week.
Yeah,
so it's been happening for a couple of months now, where I'm not really bothered by it, but I'm just like, like, hey, it's the spirit or whoever is in here, like, I would like you to respect my space, just respect my space. But yeah, it's been going on for a couple of months. It's a lot of things that I had to like rebuy or get back because I still can't find them. And, to speak on the whole thing, and my room isn't that big. It's like, we can see everything right now. So even if I would misplay something, I feel like I should find it, but I just can't find anything, and I just have a really strong sense that it's something here like watching me or just a presence here.
So have you, okay, so once you've said that to whatever it is that's in there, it could be residual energy, but since you got rid of all the items, I don't think it's really that, unless it's stuck there somehow. I mean, have you tried any different modalities to do a cleansing on your house? Or, I mean, I know you spoke to him, that's really what I wanted to ask. You spoke to the spirit and told them to respect you. I mean, has that, because I've had the same thing happen to me with, at the last house I was in that was very haunted, and it was with keys, because I'm the same way you are. Everything is in its perfect place, I know where everything's at, and if someone asks me something, I can go and look in a drawer in the back and I know exactly where it's at. But the keys, my keys would always just be gone. And I finally just said to it, you know, look, you can't do this anymore, because, you know, I'm going crazy, and sometimes I would get in my car ready to go somewhere and I'd be late. So once I had that discussion with it, then I would make a joke out of it. Then I would just start laughing and say, okay, you know, and I would call them the fairies, the trickster fairies. Where did the trickster fairies, where did you guys do it today? And one day, then all of a sudden I found my keys right in the little dish that I put it in. So with me being able to speak with them, it was kind of like it didn't happen as much that it did before. I mean, is that, since you spoke to them, have they slowed down the activity, or is it continued?
Well, yeah, like the stuff disappearing hasn't been, you know, disappearing as much, but I can still like feel the presence of like being watched and stuff. And you know, I'm not scared of it at all. I talk most of the times with my family, think I'm crazy. I'm like, hey, like, you know, if this is where you lay, if this is your ground where you're buried or something, I totally respect that, you know, because we put a house here.
Right.
But I totally respect that. But seeing that I'm the new owner, I would also appreciate if you would give me privacy, you know, and space in my own room, because this now belongs to me. You know, I talk, I let them know, but I'm not sure what it is. I really don't know. It's a couple of deaths that been happening in my family. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It's just really, it's something that I'm really trying to figure out and solve. Yeah.
So how, I mean, the reason why I want to just go into this a little bit more with you is because there's so many people out there, okay, that have these experiences, and they don't talk about it, especially with your type of experience. Like, they feel someone's watching them, or they might see a shadow, or they just don't want to ever talk about it. So I have a question for you. How long ago did this start, and did it happen after somebody passed?
Okay, so you said you left school in May.
We left school in May.
And I think it was like a month later, right? Okay, so yes, the person passed while we were in school. And I went to the shop like I think in the same month after school. So that's why I was connecting it to the shop, because it happened so close when I got the stuff. But the person passed while we were in school, and it was still like a month later. But it was small things at first, so I thought it was just like my error. So like, you know, like I would put something down, like, why would I put my phone in the bathroom? You know, like that's not something I would do. Why am I finding my phone downstairs? Why am I have to looking for stuff? And then it started happening where stuff would just disappear and I can't find it, and I would have to like rebuy it. Like I have to, you know, just small stuff. Crystals, cards, like stuff that are important to me that I can't find. And I'm like, hey, like, you know, what's going on? You know, then I was like, okay, maybe it's the stuff that I bought. So I got rid of them, and I only have my original crystals left, and my original cards, and I think I gave you for and my original cards, and I only have the keychain that I got from the shop.
Okay, so what I'm asking is that you had a death in your family, correct? Is that what you said? did this activity start after the death?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so my whole perspective on it is that's what it is that it's the spirit of whatever loved one that passed, and they're just playing with you. And I'm just telling you a little bit about from my experience and what I've done, and Crystal and I do, is that they're just playing around with you and they just want to be noticed. And then once you start like laughing at them and telling them to put things back, then the activity should stop. If it doesn't, which it sounds like you might have, then you need to send them to the other side, or speak to them about going to the light, like not, you know, just nicely, just kind of gently, and see if that works. If that doesn't work, then you need to do a full-on cleansing with some sage, some cedar, and some sweetgrass. I don't know if you've tried that. And then when you're doing that type of ritual, then send them, ask them if they'd like to go to the light. And if they want to stay, that's okay, but you really need your stuff. And to stop doing that, but you do recognize them as if they want to stay, that it's really okay. And like if you get up in the morning, you might even say hello, okay? Or if you tag it, you finally know, even talk to the person with its name. If you think that possibly that could be the person by name, and if it's not, then you can, if it's, then that's when you really need to do a full-on exorcism of your house. So the residual energy that comes from the metaphysical shop should be gone if you've saged and smudged your house and done the cedar and the sweetgrass. That should be gone if you got rid of those items. So I don't really think it's residual. So have you tried any other type of, modalities as far as...
Do you like it?
I mean, do you like it? Do you want it there?
Yeah.
Well, it's the feeling that when I say like I feel like someone's watching me, I don't feel any like bad intentions from whoever or whatever it is. It's just like it's something there. So that's why I wasn't really bothered. I was just like, hey, just respect me. I respect you. That's how I was going about it, because I didn't feel any malicious intent. There was nothing, it wasn't trying to hurt me, nothing was thrown at me. I'm not having any marks on my body or anything. It's just, here, I just feel like it's here. So I don't have a problem with it per se being here if this is where it wants to be.
So what is, ask him,
like, I'm not,
what Spiritualist Shack does about it.
So with this type of energy that you're experiencing there, or if you want to call it a ghost, I hate the word ghost, let's call it a spirit. What is it that you, as a spiritual shack, if I came to you, what would you tell me to do?
Well, first I would tell you to, speak to it, like you said, to me, and then I would tell you to do cleansing rituals if you really wanted to go. I've talked to my grandma about it because she's, over this, because she was a maintenance, she's into different practices. So we've talked about, doing it, getting moon water, the full moon grid inside, talking, lighting different things with different herbs and stuff. Okay. But I don't know what the connection is between whatever it is in my room and me, but I just don't feel like it's here to like hurt me. I just feel like it's just here, and it wants me to know that it's here, and that's why it's taking, my stuff away to be like, hey, I'm here, notice me.
Yes.
So I was just trying to figure out.
What about
I agree with you on that. So really, the bottom line is that what you would tell somebody, let's just say that I just told you that I've done all those things. I've done the things that you just spoke about to try to like release that energy away from you, and it just wouldn't leave. What would be the next step that you would tell somebody to do?
I would tell them to consult a professional, to go on their review and see who these people are, get a good idea, and talk to them on the phone to make sure that they know what they're doing and that they're safe, and not just people who want to record and put it on YouTube. Yeah. Make sure that these people have your best well-being, their well-being at heart, and if they do and they're professional, you should consult them about trying to remove the energy from their home.
A type of detachment.
Yeah.
Right. Some type of protection or something. I don't think it's anything sinister, I mean, personally, but if my items were continuously missing, after a while, I think I would get, for me being a Scorpio, I would be really pissed off. I mean,
I think, did you experience it with me? I think you experienced it with me one day.
I was here and we were doing a video, and we were doing like video in the bathroom, and not only did the stuff that we were making the video with move around, her tapestry in the back like didn't come on.
Yeah, it fell down. And the reason why that is impossible for it to just fall is because
it's been up there for a while.
And I use like these tack things to keep them pinned up there. So I was like, you have to pull it out with excessive force because Edward was trying to take the thing out. And I'm like, there's no way that just fell.
She was like, Edward, did you bring this into my home? I was like, don't look at me, that's you.
Yeah, but he was there. We were in the bathroom. I think we were making a TikTok video. And we had all the stuff set up. And he was like, how did it get over there? And I'm like,
well, we were in the bathroom and it was on the counter. And they turned, and we like blinked and it's on the dresser. And then the cherry on top was when the tapestry fell. Because I was like, it's been in the wall.
Yeah, like it's attached to the wall.
That's
okay. So you guys, so this is this is something you're currently going through. How about you, Edward? There's some more stuff that you were telling me about, other than having this gift as a child to be able to see and experience the other side. What else has happened with you? Talking about the paranormal.
Paranormal? Okay,
yeah, the
so
paranormal.
I have a group of friends they call themselves, they like the term witch. I don't really care for the term, but my grandma's very into it. So they were doing some type of ritual, and I happened to be there, and it went wrong. I guess they were supposed to do a circle for the spirits, and somebody broke it. And after that, my friend, her name is Dale, and she messed it. I mean, her friend messed it up, and she was having nightmares. She was getting like attacked, and I just gave her advice. I was like, "Here, use this." I called my grandma first. I was like, "What should she do?" And she gave her that advice, told her what to do, and I'm pretty sure it was still a no, because I felt like dread every time, and we stopped hanging out for like a really long time because I just felt that was creepy.
And to go off the story, this is kind of why we make the Spiritualist Shack, because I feel like a lot of kids nowadays, like, they just get into things they see on the internet, they read about them, like, oh, we can make a circle,
we can do a voodoo ritual,
yeah, we can talk to this person. It's like, hey, no, you probably shouldn't do that because you can get hurt. There are malicious things out there, whether you believe in it or you believe in it for a trend or whatever, but there are things out there that can actually hurt you, so you shouldn't go in the woods alone and just burn things and say, hey, come to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like this is why we made the shack, so people can be educated on these types of things. And I think this happened to a girl when she was trying to summon Papa Leva.
But yeah, Papa Legba, and she passed away. Yeah. But I have another paranormal. I had a lost family, a couple of them, but I had one earlier this year. I don't know if this is connected, but my friends were hanging out at a party, and they invited me, and something was telling me, like, do not go. Like, it's not for you. Do not go. Do not go. There was a shooting at the party, and I did not go. I was like, something was telling me, like, I had an outfit for the party. I could not find my outfit after I washed and dried it and put it on my dress. I could not find it. I was like, something is really telling me not to go to this party. So I was just like, I can't go. And then there was a shooting. Right. That was like really, I was like, if I would have went, I could have got shot.
Wow. So you have you're very intuitive too.
Yes.
Now
I'm very empathetic and sensitive.
Now, I mean, I know that we spoke about this, and I know Tanya was just speaking about this, but and this is what you and I both were really on board with, and I guess this is what the Spiritual Shack is all about, is the fact that we want to steer people away from the shows that are on TV that are showing us things that we shouldn't be playing with, watching things and doing YouTube and trying to make a circle to bring in certain spirits and things like that, because this stuff is very scary and can be very dangerous. And so you're out there to pretty much warn people. Is that what you're doing? Is warn people to, and then do it correctly, or just warn people and tell them that don't play around with this stuff? Because everybody right now with the ghost hunters, they call it ghost hunting, is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous, because these people are getting scratched, or they don't know what they're doing. They're not knowing the proper forms of protection to use when they go in and do this. Little children are getting involved in this. And it's not something to fool around with. And I always say, you play, you pay. You want to go out and play with this stuff and you really don't know what it's about, well, you're going to end up paying. Just like you, Edward, when you were just talking about going to that party. If you don't really know intuitively, as far as you being intuitively and connected to your spirituality, you would have gone to that party and you could have gotten shot. Yeah. It's just as important in the paranormal or supernatural community that we do the same thing, that we know what to do and we're solid in our spirituality. And so I guess that's kind of the point that I wanted to bring across, that I think that you guys are spreading the message about too.
Yes.
We also, one of the first things that really pushed us to talk about the topics is there was this girl who was, I think she was from America. Like she didn't have any Haitian or Caribbean background. And she was like, I want to summon a voodoo god. And she died in her 20s. She was dead in her room. They found her. So I was like, it's because all on her Facebook, that was all she would talk about. Oh, I see them. I'm scared. It's coming for me. And I was like, you did this. And now other kids were like trying to make it a challenge. And we're like, you should not.
Yes, that's what really upset me, is because after she died, people went on TikTok and it was like, hey, we should do this. We should summon something. And I'm like, no, she just died from doing this. And it's crazy because normally, paranormal stuff don't make it to the news because people think it's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's another reason that I feel like we should use our platform is because we have people who have TV shows of people screaming and they're like, oh my God, did you get some EVP? I'm like, are you serious?
Right.
No.
Oh my.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
It's just crazy that, it was such a big deal because for days she was on her Facebook, I think, and she was saying like, hey guys, like I think I'm in trouble. I think I did something wrong. I think I'm gonna die. And she died. And then everyone was like, oh, we should make it a challenge. We should summon him to see if it's real.
Well, the thing is that she didn't even summon Papa. Like she summoned Ron.
Was it
Sam? Yeah. And she summoned him, and he killed her. Like, they believe that he took her soul, and that's how she died. But she summoned the wrong thing. But I'm like, if this is a language that you cannot read, and it's a religion or not a practice that you cannot read and you can't understand, you just did it out of nowhere, and you died, and people are making a game.
Well, you're talking about a lack of education about it, and also, just from my experience, I think that you need to know, okay, for me, my experience has been that I played around with black magic, okay? So I have personal experience, my own personal experience. I know you guys can't see me. My own personal experience of dealing with that and the negative repercussions that came with that. So me being on the dark side is, I learned not to be on the dark side and to be on the light side, because even Dee and I both did it together, and there was quite a few negative repercussions from that, and we did it correctly. we did everything correctly, but then just things started happening.
We did it craftily.
Yeah, we did it craftily, all right.
Yeah.
I don't want to start laughing.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
it ended up being, I mean, a lot of really bad things started happening. At first, it was really great. At first, it was really fun. And then it just ended up backfiring. And so once that happened and I realized what we were doing and I was like, oh, hell no, we can't, I don't want to do this anymore. Then we had to reverse everything. We had to go in there and reverse everything that we had created within that environment, which took me did a 3-hour exorcism on our house and all the portals that I had opened because of what I was inviting in. So, you know, it took me 3 hours to go through the house and get rid of it. I made him leave, and it was gone. But ever since then, I won't have anything to do with the dark side whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, it is serious business. And if you want to call it the devil, or if you want to, and then you want to call it God, or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. It's light and dark. I just decided that I really wanted to go on light. I wanted to be on the light side, which is why I call myself a light worker, because I am. And for me to understand being a light worker, I had to be on that other side of darkness to understand now, if I walk into someone's house and they need some help, what that darkness is, because I can feel it and sense it right away. Now, how about you? Or have you guys dabbled in the other side, or are you just strictly on the good side?
I have. I'm probably sure you remember that I mentioned I'm from the Caribbean. So when I was younger, it was in my family, and I was always touching their stuff, you know, using their, you know, things that we were told never to touch, never to do, never to repeat, and I've done it. I've been through the repercussions, you know. So yeah, I've caused a lot of things to happen to some of my family members, people who are responsible for it. So yeah, I've been there, and you know, I've been taught not to dabble in that, not to mix with that.
I think that's why we're so adamant. I mean, I know that we're on the same page with this, but we're so adamant on telling people to not play because they will pay. You know, I just really think that, and you guys are on that same level because of your experience then.
I think some people are very hard-headed, and they're like a baby if they see candy. If you say don't touch it, it's like, touch.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of is with them and dark stuff. Like, I know when I was younger, I used to have, like, when I had that imaginary friend and I used to get, like, tormented, I would scream. I remember this one where I had, like, a nightmare about something that was living in my house. I was 8 years old. And I woke up screaming, but I could not scream. Like, I was screaming from the top of my lungs, and I could not scream. And then it felt like I was being choked. And I jumped up, and I ran to my mom. I was like, Mom, you didn't hear me? And she was like, no. And then my dad was like, yeah, there was something wrong with the house. He just had to stay strong for us because he didn't want us to see him scared.
Right.
Oh.
So, what other, now since we're on that same subject here about, so you're adamant about the fact that people really need to be educated on this and explaining to them why it's happened because of your experiences too, because obviously you know about a little bit about the dark side or black magic or whatever anyone wants to talk about. But what other experiences have you had? Are there any others? How about you, Edward?
So we played the Ouija board at school.
Oh.
And she asked, would we graduate? And it said, no, we did not walk across the stage and graduate. It's the next week, school was out because of the virus. But something happened to the board, and my home where I lived then, something started, like, the energy was just horrible. Like, and there was nothing I could do because I didn't have the board anymore. We moved. I mean, we cleansed it, and we moved to a different county.
Like, they legit had to, like, that's how bad it was after.
My mom was like, I can't do this. My grandma moved, and then we.
Okay, now was that because you played the Ouija board? I'm not really getting this. So
I did it the wrong way. I know. I feel like it was. I know what I should have done.
No, he's missing some parts. What he's failing to tell you
Yeah.
is that it's not one of the Ouija boards that you can go to the store and buy.
Yeah.
This was a Ouija board that, did you get it from your grandma?
I got it from my grandma.
It was an original Ouija board that he got from his grandma.
It's not just like a toy that we
like
can just.
my grandpa's.
What did they call
so
it?
I played it, and I know. My grandma always told me when I was young, I'm about to cry. I'm sorry. No, I'm not trying to cry. But she always told me a warning, be like, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't touch it. Nothing. Stop. And I know how to do it correctly. But I wanted to be like, show off to my friends. Well, I got a Ouija player. And I knew it. I never touched it before. But when I took it, and I took it to school, and that happened, and we moved, I was like, okay, never again. I know my grandma's right. Always listen to her. And I knew how to do it the correct way. It's just that I was just so caught up in the moment. And all it takes is one mistake.
Yeah, so that's why, see, I'm really adamant and really against Ouija boards. I mean, you're inviting spirits in that you don't even want to invite in whatsoever. I mean, from the darkest levels of the darkness, you're pulling those in. And I don't know anything about doing it absolutely correctly, but I know I just read something about that there is, I can't remember how long ago, it was quite a long time ago, but they had a formula that you needed to do before you started to use this, and like an educational pamphlet from scientific professionals, not just science, but on the other side too, so on the esoteric side. But I have my own experience with Ouija boards was not a good experience. I was in high school, and I too found a Ouija board in my grandpa's basement. That was the original Ouija board when Hasbro first came out with them. And
that's crazy.
That's the legit same one I had.
Yeah. So I had it. It was really old. My grandpa had it stuffed behind all these boxes, and I stole it, and I took it. My girlfriend and I were playing it, like we got obsessed, and we were playing it all the time. And then, asking stupid questions like, who's going to be my next boyfriend? And then it started getting like you, Edward, like we'd ask it a question and it would say something evil, or it would say something, that was not true, or something about, like witch, it would call me a witch or something like that. And then all of a sudden I was playing it, but the planchette would move by itself, and that's the little thing that you put your two fingers on, you guys, when you move the Ouija board. It would move by itself, and I wouldn't even need to put my fingers on it. So I got so flipped out that I knew, even at a very young age, because like you, Edward, I've had experiences from very, very small child. And so what I did was, my girlfriend wanted nothing to do with it anymore. So I took the Ouija board, and intuitively I knew that I needed to burn it. So I burnt it in the fireplace. It was not thrown in the garbage, because you can't throw them in the garbage. The proper way to do them is actually burn them. And that's what I did. And it was a pretty scary experience for me. I'll never forget it. And it is definitely something you don't want to play around with. Those things that come through there, those spirits that come through there, that doors that you're unlocking, they can very well come in and go into your own being and live off you. And it's a very scary situation. Now, on your situation, did you get rid of the Ouija board, or?
No, I think that's why you had to leave house.
Yeah, I lost it. I think I know. There's this spot in the house that there above the closet. there's an opening to go up into like an attic space or
Right.
something that I would hear like really weird noises. Yeah, and I think it's up there because I had a feeling, like a strong feeling, but I couldn't get into there because that's a little space, but I couldn't get up there, so that's why we just moved. Like we did like a couple rituals and we just said bye.
Okay,
we literally moved 30 minutes away.
Okay, so did you move because of the Ouija board and the experience and opening up a door that you shouldn't have opened, or that's the reason why you moved?
Yes, that's exactly why we left.
So was there how did you know that you needed to move? What was happening after you played this Ouija board and you did it wrong and you shouldn't have been playing with it?
It's like I would come home from school in like a really good mood with my sister, and we would go in that house, and then it would just feel horrible, like just heavy, and there would be big swarms of like black birds just circle, and then they would leave, and they would go, and then they would come back, or like I would never feel alone. I would feel like I just had something scary watching me, and then we heard things at the top, like in the attic space, like little growls and stuff like that. Whoa. So we were just like, the experience got so bad that we didn't want to just cleanse the house and stay. It was like we had so many negative experiences in the home itself that we didn't want to look at.
Oh.
So we left.
Well, you know what I just thought about? If the board is probably still in that space, I feel like we should, if somebody else is there, to kind of like go there and probably get it burned. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, I think that might be,
Ouija busters.
I mean, there's a lot of people, whoever lives in there now. Do you know who lives there, or you don't?
Still vacant.
Oh, yeah, I would go get it and burn it, because anyone else that's there, you just unlock the door and you just, that's just being responsible if you can get into the house and if you can do it.
Yeah, we can. The landlord is pretty nice, so I feel like they'll let us back.
Okay, that's good. Well, hopefully it'll be up there. Quick story, when I was doing On the Dark Side, one day Dee and I had left the house and we were doing the black magic type stuff. And when we went to bed, we got up in the morning, and the entire living room, and I lived in a really big house on a golf course, the entire living room vaulted ceiling, was covered in flies. You could not see any white on that ceiling. The whole ceiling was covered in flies. So I was freaking out. Okay, I was freaking out. And so I went and got, this is kind of funny, but this is why we stopped doing everything that can revolve around a Ouija board or anything dark. I went and got, that spray you use in the bathroom, like that, what is it called? And I was spraying it up in the air because it was one of those ones that go up in the air to try to kill the flies. And I'm telling you what, when those flies were dropping and the door was open and the flies were dropping to the floor, it took me hours and hours to clean that living room. It was just...
Did you have like an experience ever with like a very nasty smell?
Yes, I have had very nasty smells. One of them is, well, it depends on what it is, but something rotting.
Yeah.
But never anything to what you're talking about, where it was just really, really like the smell of death or anything like that. I haven't actually experienced that smell.
It's the most disgusting thing. Like, when it first started, I was like, ew, did you fart? And my sister was like, no. And then I would like look everywhere. I'm like, something died in here. And then I could not find where the smell would come from. And it would stink so bad.
Well, it'd be interesting if you go back in that place, what kind of energy you feel then, and if it is indeed up in that attic crawl space.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I get the just thinking about going back there.
Damn.
When I left, I was like, I never would see this place ever again.
That's why it's just so.
crazy about the story is because he never gets scared.
I never.
Like, he never gets scared. And when he was telling me about it at school, I was like, it has to be scary for him to get scared. Like, it has to be really bad for him to get scared.
I don't fear anything.
And then
but
he told me, he's like, yeah, we're moving.
We're leaving.
Yeah.
And my mom's the toughest chick I know. And she was like, good.
Wow. Well, I mean, so we do know that we're just kind of warning people about doing this, and please don't do it. So then, you know, they're probably laughing right now. A lot of people are laughing like, oh, listen to them. Oh, this is such full of shit, whatever. But, I mean, this is real stuff. And then we're also hitting some people that actually have had experiences, and now they're going to feel better and that they're not crazy. That's the other thing.
Finish?
No, go ahead.
I used to watch like people's experiences where they're like talk about their experiences, and I'd be like, "Oh, she's such full of shit. Why didn't she do this?
Right.
But when you're in the experience, and I'm like, I would never be scared of nothing like that. And then when you're in it,
my first experience, my parents thought I was crazy. I just told you about this.
Oh yeah.
When I was younger, I had this recurring dream of me dying, like drowning in this specific place. So we were driving to this curry festival that they have in Jamaica, like I think it's like in December. And we were driving. I remember I had a Nintendo DS. I remember it perfectly, and it died. And I was looking out the window, and I seen the place that I dreamt of, like I was driving. I told my parents to stop the car. And I walked down there, and it was the exact same thing. The only thing different was the houses on the sidewalk. There was no houses in my dreams. It was trees, but it was the same place. And I remember I was crying there, and I was like at 8 at this time. And that's the first time like my parents believed me, because I kept having nightmares about like drowning. I would wake up like in sweat and stuff, and like no one would believe me. Like I felt like I was really drowning in that dream. And when I went to the place, it was like really surreal, and it was just some really awful feeling. That's the first time I got like anyone to ever tell me about it. So
Well, so and obviously you didn't go swimming.
no, I obviously did not go swimming there. It was
Right. So anything else that you guys want to talk about while we're on here today?
We should talk about people in these new horror movies coming out. I think they should do like some protective measures before and after the movie, because they're going to be using a lot of real demonic names. And I don't really like to hear like real demonic names. I don't know, something about it just doesn't sit right with me.
Like when you know what it means.
Right when you know it's like a real name. I don't want to hear that, because something might happen or something that might come if they hear a lot, especially if people watch it. Things keep being said.
So, which movies are we talking about? Like, have you?
The new Conjuring movie.
Oh,
the new Conjuring movie is gonna have. And Crystal were just talking about it.
You mean so they're coming out? They're coming out with a new Conjuring movie now, and another one. And so they're actually using the real terms of the demons then.
Yes.
Oh, you know a show that this is in that is so popular? I know it's gonna sound so weird, but it's called Sabrina. It's on Netflix.
Oh, I know.
It's called Sabrina, and when I tell you, they use so much like real symbolism. I guess the writers just wanted it to be, real, and but they use so much symbolism, and they quote so many Latin and like other words that are just so dangerous to me, and I just felt uncomfortable watching it because I was like.
And there's some people that act like there's some people in horror movies who act, and they're like, "Oh, this happened because I was." Let me fix this. So they were like, "This happened after we were filming," because they were like really doing stuff that they had no business to do.
Right. It's similar to The Exorcist. When The Exorcist came out and all the bad stuff started happening on the set with them and people dying and all that. I mean, that movie in itself, still to this day, I can't really watch it. It's just too realistic. And I agree with you. I think that people need to be aware. I think aware of how they're feeling after they're watching the movie. and not just after they watch the movie because they might be scared, but days after or a week out. How is your life going? But before, which is great, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, this is not good, so why don't you try this? What would someone need to do? What would someone need to try and do before they watch a movie? Edward, what could they do? What kind of advice would you give them?
I personally pray to my ancestors. I believe like my ancestors watch over me. I pray to them. I might light some incense or some sage or something just before and after. And also, I was really shocked because Balak from The Nun and The Conjuring, that's a real demon. So I was like, that's, and I knew when I watched it, I needed to do it because I was scared, not of the movie, just of the depiction of Balak.
I've seen it in you know what? And it's becoming more popular because I've seen it in so many shows like Lucifer, like Mazikeen, like,
yeah,
you know,
these are real demons.
Yeah, like they're saying
and I feel like they're sexualizing demonic entities. And I'm like, that's not okay either because people are gonna try to like succubus and incubus.
Yep.
Like they try to sexualize those. I'm like, that's not good.
I actually had an experience with an incubus and you want to talk about succubus and incubus,
Next show.
That's a whole nother story. And I did one on just myself talking about my experience, which was pretty hardcore. And I did an hour long, and I got like 3.7 hits in like 24 hours on it. But I called it sex demons. So I think people thought it was so cool, and thought it was going to be something that they could bring in to help them with their sex. And basically what I was doing when I was on there is I was telling them, oh no, this is my experience, this is what happened to me, and you do not want to go down this road whatsoever.
It's like they drain the energy, like they're feed off, that type of energy. I've been meaning to talk to you about that actually. I've been noticing a lot of it's becoming more popular to use paranormal or other on that supernatural things like in mainstream media. I've just been noticing because I was talking to my mom about the Mazikeen thing. And I'm like, I wonder why,
why are they using real demonic?
Yeah.
And I feel like people think sex demons are cool because that's something to do with sex. It's still a demon.
Right.
So why do you think they are? Why do you think that the movie industry and the movie industry or
because
Hollywood is using real demonic names now?
Okay, so me and Tanya have this joke. Whenever we talk about I think they push Catholic buttons on purpose to make Catholic people upset. I feel like they try to do stuff for the Catholic people to be upset.
Yeah.
And me and Tanya are kind of guilty. We're not guilty of that. But whenever we talk about we're not Christian per se. We believe in a higher power, the light and the darkness. But whenever we say that, or whenever we bring up Christianity at all on our podcast, it will not work. It will not work. There will be an error. When we talk about anything else, it goes through. But as soon as we say that, it's just
so we just have to rule that talk. But why I think they're bringing it into mainstream media is because more people are because it's a trend now.
It's edgy.
Yeah, it's edgy now, and the kids are getting into it, and they're like, okay, if we do this, if we give them this. And I think they probably think okay, if we go into history and if we put the real names,
it'll be more authentic.
Yeah, but it's dangerous because if somebody makes a movie about Pop Lake, then that's disrespecting a whole nation of people. You see what I'm saying?
Literally, yeah.
So it's bringing up all that energy and that stuff. I don't know what's the proof of them doing all this, but I do notice that it's becoming popular with especially our age group and more people want to be spiritualists.
I'm telling them rocks can't save you from the world. Be careful. Crystals just can't save you from everything.
Yeah, so I guess what I would say to somebody who's watching a scary movie, just to even pray to whatever higher power or whatever they believe in to please protect them before and after this movie. If that's really all that they can do before, you know, to just do that to keep themselves protected. So I'm going to give you guys one last call here. If there's anything dying message that you guys want to say, dying message.
I just want to say, be careful. Please, 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 please do not try these things just off your mind. Yeah. Also, me and Tay, we're doing the Spiritualist Shack October special, where we're going to go over true crime cases or like review other people's paranormal stories and try to help them out. This is like our October thing that we're going to do for our YouTube channel.
Okay, so
what?
Okay,
I just want guys, be careful in your practices. If you're, you know, a stubborn person and you're just like, I'm gonna do it anyways, please consult a professional, ask questions, please do your research, and you know, if you're gonna do something, don't try to get other people involved, because that's also a problem with people, you know, convincing like friend groups to do things.
If you're not 100%, don't.
Just don't do it. Just ask for help. Look for guidance and do your research. Yeah, that's all I would have to say. You know, also respect other people's cultures. There are certain practices that are not open to everyone. Right. So not because someone is sharing about their practices, it doesn't mean you should try it. It's very dangerous because they have set rules and things that are secret to, you know, the general population that you would never know. So don't try it and just be careful.
Right.
Let's see your full T-shirts.
Yeah. Okay. Let's find out. Let's talk about where people can find out about you.
Yeah. Pop that collar.
So
you can find us on YouTube mainly at the Spiritualist Shack and on Twitter.
Yes, Twitter as well.
Instagram.
The Spiritualist Shack. Instagram, the Spiritualist Shack. I think we have a TikTok.
We have a TikTok.
Where you live?
So if you have any like stories or cases that you want us to review or you have questions, just feel free to DM us. We'll get back to you. We're really good at answering.
Okay, so did everyone hear that? It's a Spiritualist Shack. You can pretty much find them anywhere, so just type it in. Pretty much anywhere is what they're saying. So, hey, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on today. And it was a pleasure speaking with you. And I just want to say, just again, thank you so much. And I hope everyone out there has enjoyed today and maybe could relate in some way. If not, just laugh at us.
Let's do it again.
I mean, you could just laugh. It's fun.
That's it.
So
learn. Videos in case you want to laugh at that too.
Yeah.
Learn, laugh, love, and share.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to say over and out.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Peace.
Okay, peace out.